I'm back with another vlog. So, it's a beautiful sunny day here where I am. I have my coffee. I'm ready to go and talk about some books. We're going to start this vlog on not the best note. It's not a bad note, but it's not the best note. So I decided to put down The Shadow of What Was Lost. And it's not because I dislike it, because I really don't. I think I got about halfway through, so I was pretty far along. I just wasn't enjoying it as much as I really wanted to. And I felt like I was kind of forcing myself to read it. And I don't want to force myself to read a book because that will take away from the enjoyment. You know, the whole purpose of reading books is to enjoy yourself, not to make it feel like a chore. And I have not been feeling like that typical classic fantasy read in a while. I've tried numerous books this year, and for some reason I just can't get into any of them. And this, although is very unique, does kind of fall into that subgenre. So I'm going to put it down for now, but I was enjoying it. I did like it. I just wasn't into it as much as I wanted to be. I was very distracted almost. And I think the other reason why I wasn't fully enjoying it is because I was listening to the audiobook, and Michael Kramer, who narrates Wheel of Time and Stormlight Archive and Mistborn, narrates this. Although he is a good narrator, I have linked him specifically to Stormlight Archive. And I know that's not a fault of anybody, but listening to this, an audiobook, just reminded me so much of Stormlight, and I want this book to be its own thing. So I think I'm going to pick it up and physically read it in the fall, but I might actually reread it from the beginning. We will see. But overall, I was enjoying it. And I think if you really love like that classic fantasy trope and haven't checked this out, this is really good. Plus trilogy, so it's super short. Although each book is like 700 pages, so I mean there's still a lot of page count, but overall, compared to some of the larger series, it's much smaller. So overall, I was enjoying it. I just want to be able to put my full attention into it. Since I put down The Shadow of What Was Lost, I was able to pick up The Stardust Thief. So this book is like a loosely retelling of Arabian Nights, and we have like a Aladdin type character, which is actually a female. So I guess there's a little gender swapping there. And I think there's like, you know, the guy and his 40 thieves, although it's now a prince. And there's jinn involved, and it's very deserty and very magical. And so far I'm enjoying it. I'm not as gripped as I want to be. I'm only 100 pages in, so I'm just kind of getting into the world. They're just kind of, the characters are just meeting each other and they're kind of starting their journey. So I can't really say much about it. So hopefully in a couple of days when I finish this, I'll have a little bit more to say. I just started the Korean drama I'll See You in My 19th Life, and it actually is the same actress that was in Mr. Queen, which I talked about in my last vlog. And I've only watched one episode. It's on Netflix if anybody's interested, and it's currently airing, so there's 2 episodes per week. So it's on Saturdays and Sundays, I think it airs. So far it's good. It was a lot, I was expecting more of a comedy, and it's a lot more dramatic than I was expecting. But I guess I should have known better because it is about somebody who remembers their past lives, and generally that's pretty usually a sad topic so far, but it's interesting. So yeah, so our main character, she's a young woman and she remembers all of her 18 past lives, and this is now her 19th life, and she is on a mission to find somebody from her past life that she wants to reconnect in this life. Yeah, I can't really say much else. It's the first episode, so it's pretty good. Another thing I started with my husband is an anime called Mashle. I keep wanting to say Michelle, but it's Mashle. And basically it's anime's answer to Harry Potter. Like legit, if you look at the picture, it is Harry Potter anime style. Like shonen anime style. It's ridiculous. Like it is a comedy, obviously about a kid in a magic school. And it is like, he is the stupidest like he's dumb. He's a dumb character. He's so stupid, but he's got like a sweetheart and all he wants to do is eat sweets. And it's funny. Um, I think if you like anime like One Piece, definitely check it out. It's a good chuckle. So me and my husband and I watched the first episode and it was pretty good. And speaking of anime, has anybody seen the new One Piece trailer? The live action that's going to be on Netflix this summer. It looks fantastic. Like I don't like, unless it's completely retelling and not a remake of an anime, I don't like it. Like every single anime show that they've made into live action, like American wise, it didn't work. But this one looks really fantastic. So that has inspired me to get back into One Piece. I'm past this point, so this is what I have. So I'm going to be reading it on ebook because it's cheaper. I don't have $500 to dump on One Piece right now. I think I'm like 100 chapters in to the series, and I can't remember what arc it is. I'll have to like link it below. So that's where I am. I'm going to slowly make my way through it. One Piece is one of those animes that I've tried to get into so many times, like so many times. I first read it when it first came out, way back when, and I couldn't get into it. And then I tried again like 10 years ago, couldn't get into it. I've tried recently. I don't know, I just can't get into it. Everybody keeps talking about how amazing it is. The story is amazing. The characters are amazing. The found family, the swashbuckling adventures. And I want to get into that. But for some reason, there's just some disconnect. I can admit that it is well written. There's some really good ideas in it. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, so I'm 100 chapters in, and I'm really hoping to get more invested into this series. So wish me luck, please. I'm back, and I finished the Stardust Thief last night. Although this is not going to be a new favorite by any means, it was a pretty solid book. It was a pretty solid first book. I really enjoyed the whole gender swapping Aladdin story take of it, and like how dark it got, and you know, really digging into the Jinn culture and the Jinn folklore. I really did enjoy that. I liked aspects of this book, but it is a 500-page book, and it's not even 500 pages book, and I felt like it packed so much information, so much stuff happened. It's very action-packed. So if you like that kind of action-packed quick book, you will probably enjoy this one. For me, I wanted more. I wanted to sit in this world a little bit more. I wanted to get to know the characters a little bit more. And although I did really enjoy the characters, there was not one I disliked, so that's a bonus. I wanted more of them. I felt like we were just kind of scratching the surface. So because of that, it wasn't a new favorite, but I definitely enjoyed it. I think if you really enjoy the David Bode trilogy, you will like this one as well. I don't know if this happens to anybody else. I listened to it through Libby, and it kept skipping chapters. So then I would have to delete the download, then re-download it. And then, yeah, it was super frustrating. Please tell me if that happens to anybody else. But okay, the reason why I mentioned this is because the audiobook narrators were fantastic. They were so good. Except the one thing is, a couple of them said the names wrong or differently. Not wrong, sorry. They said it differently, so I was confused by who they were talking about because they were using different accents. And it sounded almost like different names, but that's neither here or there. I feel like all audiobooks that have multiple POVs of different sexes should have multiple narrators. I feel like that is the better way to do an audiobook. Although some narrators are fantastic at certain voices, other voices, like usually the opposite sex, is not. It doesn't translate as well. So I find that when you have a huge book with one narrator doing all sorts of different voices of all different types of sexes, it doesn't sound as good. It doesn't sound as polished as like something like this that has a multiple POV. So I really, really, really hope more like production companies start using different POVs. I think I'm giving this about 3.44 stars, purely because I felt like I was not really quite settled into the book as of yet. But I'm extremely excited for the sequel that comes out this fall, because where we left off, I want more. I'm very intrigued for where the story goes. So yeah, I'll definitely be pre-ordering that and picking it up in the fall. Okay, so yesterday I picked up the Blighted Stars. I'm reading this physically, and this is my first book by Megan E. O'Keefe. Is that how you say their name? I'm not entirely sure. And this is a sci-fi space opera. And so far I've only read the first chapter. I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but when I'm getting into a new book and then you use a lot of new terminology and I'm getting used to the tone of the narration, it takes me a little while to like warm up to it. So it took me a really long time to read this first chapter, purely because they're using so many different terms that I'm unfamiliar with. But in this world, so far I don't really know much about this, but I do like the take that in this world, we're in space, and the culture is run by family corporations, a lot like how Korea is, and their kids inherit their corporations. So our first POV is from the son of a corporation. And also in this world, which I find extremely interesting, is that humans like basically back up their brains and subconscious into some mainframe or whatever. So when they die, or if an accident happens, they can upload their like print or whatever, or they think they call it a map. They upload their personality map into a new body. Like in real life, the more you copy it, the quality of the original product degrades. And that is also the effect for the people. So the more you die, the more your personality or your mapping degrades, and then there's chances of like you not uploading properly. So far I like that aspect. But again, yeah, we're just scratching. I'm just in the first chapter, so I can't really say anything else, but overall I'm enjoying it. And honestly, I think this was a cover buy for me, because this cover is just, it speaks to me. I just love like sci-fi covers, and it's just like there's ship in the background and there's a dead tree, and yeah, I just love it. There's no updates for what I'm watching. I've been pretty busy, so I haven't had a lot of time to watch any new TV shows. But yeah, I guess I'll come back in a couple days. Good morning, and I'm back. And it is a rainy, stormy day. It's been like 12 hours and nonstop thunderstorms. So if you happen to hear like thunder or rumbling in the background, you know what it is. So I finished the Blighted Star by Maggie E. O'Keefe yesterday. Overall, I think it was a pretty solid book. Before, when I said it was a space opera, it's not a space opera, it's sci-fi completely. It actually kind of reminded me like one of those like early Y2K science fiction movies where they would be on a planet and weird stuff would be happening, and then there's like mysteries unraveled by mysteries unraveled by mysteries, and you never know who to trust and who not to trust. I think I would prefer to watch this than read it. I think that it would be better as a movie or a TV show. What I was not expecting was how much of a love story this book is. And that might actually turn off a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are not into that. But I found it really good. Like, it was really well suited. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't like cringy. It was just these two people that are on opposite spectrums. There's a rich, almost like royalty prince guy, and then there's a spy woman who is like a soldier, and it's the dynamic between the two of them is very good. The character development is like phenomenal. It's so good. Like, each character had their own agency, and I felt like there was a lot of like reflecting done in this book. Like, they both have their own opinions about how things are. Their lives are so different, very set in cement, very set in stone. And because they meet this other person, they are sent to question their beliefs, to question things that they would have normally not questioned if they hadn't met this other person. I overall really enjoyed it. I'm very intrigued to where this series is going to go, because this is it almost feels like a prologue, like a really long prologue, because they're stuck on this planet, and these characters are now meeting each other, and where it sets off, it starts like really expanding the series, expanding the world, expanding the universe. So I'm definitely intrigued to see where it goes. If you like shows like Altered Carbon, or sci-fi movies like Pitch Black with Vin Diesel, and those type of movies where they're type of sci-fi movies where they're stuck on a planet and weird stuff is happening, I think you'll definitely enjoy this. I wouldn't recommend this for people who don't like a little bit of romance, because it is very heavy. The book is very much about these two people getting to know each other and basically fighting their feelings towards each other. And it is a driving point for these two characters. So if you're not into that, I can see where this might lose your interest. But again, I will say that it is not over the top. It's not like one of those romance books where you're just like, oh my God, these people are just so annoying. They're just doing something that's just completely stupid. They're dum-dums. This is like, there is thought behind these two characters and what they're willing to do for the other person, and also what they're not willing to do. So overall, I really enjoyed it, and I will definitely be reading the sequel when it comes out. Then I picked up The Starless Crown by James Rowling, and James Rowling is, I think, known for his sci-fi thriller works. I have not read any of his work before, but I haven't heard much about this book. I've had this on my list for a while now because it's listed as sci-fantasy, and that's like my favorite subgenre. I think that, but this book is more realistic sci-fantasy. Like, it's more technical sci-fantasy where you got your fantastical elements in this world, on this Earth. They call it Earth, which I found a little confusing, but they're on this planet, and it's in tidal lock. And tidal lock means basically it doesn't spin anymore. So the way that it's facing, there's like a strip of land that's like perfectly livable and inhabitable. And then you have the land that's facing the sun, which is super, super freaking hot. And then you have the land that's facing the dark side of the sun, or the dark, like night, and it's super cold. So you have this perfect strip of land which is habitable. And this is where our character is living. Overall, I really don't know anything much about besides that. So I'm listening to the audiobook of this. And the first chapter is actually a note from the author, read by the author himself, explaining why he decided to finally release this book, because he's been working on it for 10 years. And he's done so much research. He's contacted a lot of specialists, like I think he mentioned like zoologists and scientists, just to make sure that he could get as accurate as possible. And just that note alone made me very excited to read this book. And then the first chapter, it's so interesting. It was so well written. So I'm very confused of why this book is not more popular than it is. So again, I think I'm only on the second chapter right now. I can't really say much about it, but so far I'm very impressed. And I really hope that it continues to impress me. But yeah, I'm really curious to see why this book is not more popular, because it seems like it would be up a lot of people's alleys. So we'll see. Unfortunately, this week I have not done a lot of reading because Final Fantasy has legit taken over my life. I have not played a Final Fantasy game that I enjoyed in the longest time, probably since 11. Probably, yeah, Final Fantasy 11. So it's been a while since I've really gotten into Final Fantasy. And oh, this game is just taking over my fucking life. Like, holy shit. But unfortunately, it is violent. Like fucking Game of Thrones violent. So I have to wait till the kiddos go to sleep before I can play, and that it eats into my reading / watching TV. So yeah, if you're not, like, if you've never played a Final Fantasy game, I definitely recommend picking the new one up because it's just, it's phenomenal. The graphics are awesome. The storyline is really good, super dark. The character work is like, it's getting there. Like, it's a little bit tropey and kind of like campy a little bit. But I feel like now I'm in the beginning, so we're just kind of scratching the surface. And then that's when it usually really gets good and you really get to know the characters and see why they're acting the way that they're acting. I was actually sad because I like turnstile games and my husband hates them. And so he's just like, oh, well, if it's not a turnstile game, then I'll play it. So now we have to fight over who's going to play it. But yeah, it's really, really good. So yeah, that's all my updates for today. So yeah, I just finished that. Final Fantasy, Starless Crown. That's what I'm going to be working on. So this weekend's actually going to be a long weekend. I'm going to be going up north with my family and some friends. So look forward to some beach scenes in my next vlog. And yeah, it's going to be a really great week. Hopefully I'll get a little bit of reading done. I don't know if I will be able to, but fingers crossed. Anyways, I'll see you next time and have a great week. Bye.